first presenter, maybe Mr. Benga, he said something. It was like, we don't have to have it all figured out. And that was something I really relate to, because I didn't have everything figured out. Like, some people see and they're like, oh yeah, everything worked out for you. You finished your PhD in record time, you were able to get a great job. I was like, yeah, but trust me, 2 years ago, I had no idea where I was going and what I was going to do. But I feel like these are some of the things that I learned and I picked up along the way. And so I'm just gonna basically share my experience in trying to make something happen. So first off, I just want to say my view of what a fulfilled life is basically one where at the end of my life, if I have not everybody has the chance to look back on their life before they pass, but if I have the chance to look back on my life, I think what I would want to know that I did was that I used all my potentials to the fullest, and that not just for myself, not just to for self-aggrandizement, but I was able to help others. When I think about what the Apostle Paul said, he was the confidence that makes you able to say I have finished my course, to be able to come out and really, with a certainty say that you accomplished everything you set out to do in life. For me, that's what I aspire to. I don't want it to be that at the end of the day, I feel like, oh, I could have done more and stuff. So yeah, for me, that's what I consider a fulfilled life. And so I just basically highlighted 4 things that I think are crucial and in this process of actually, getting to that point, things that I found. The first thing I found was that it has to come from inside of you. So a lot of young people, there's something, especially in Nigeria, that we like to say. We like to say, remember the child of who you are. This I feel like that's not going to help anybody to really make something of their self. I mean, there's a place for that, of course, because there's sometimes that I remember that yeah, I have to, do a little better to make my parents proud. But I feel like if that's the only thing that is driving you in your career, it's not or even in life generally, it's not enough. It has to also come from inside of you. You also have to want, this whatever you're aspiring to, you have to want it for yourself before you can actually start saying, oh, I want to be good because of my parents or anything. It has to come from you. So I just had some examples here. For example, I would say in terms of my work with God and salvation, obviously every parent who is saved, who is born again, wants their child to be saved and to work with God. And so my parents were like that, they were very spiritual. They were, working with God and all, but and obviously they desired it for their children. But at the end of the day, I didn't find God because my parents wanted me to find God. I found God because I was ready. Because when I got to the point that I was like, okay, I need to give my whole life to God, I found God. So my point is, it has to come from you, not from someone else. Another example is in my career. So the fact that maybe I was able to get my PhD at a young age or do all that I did at a young age, it's not just because my parents, in fact, my parents never pushed me. They never pushed me for school. They just left me alone because it was what I wanted. It was what I was good at. So I didn't need anybody to push me. The desire came from inside of me. So I say all of that to say that I feel like the desire has to come from, you as a young person. If whatever you want to do, whatever you want to make of your life, it has to come from you. You have to want it for yourself before, your parents or anybody else around you can't want it for you. It's that want that pushes you, because it's tied into my next point, which is passion. So I feel like passion can be anywhere around. So passion can either produce the desire I was talking about. So passion can either produce that desire to succeed, or it can be produced by that desire for success. So for a simple example of this is, I know some people that literally their passion is money. They're like, I want to make money. I don't care how it works. I just want to make money. And that passion for money is what pushes them to actually begin to look for ways that they can make money. So it's not so much about the goal is not, oh, I want to be a project manager because I love this field. The goal is I want to make money. And that passion is enough and they're able to excel. But some other people, it's the other way around. Like it's like, oh yeah, I want to be like a project manager and stuff. And then if I make some money along the way, or if I actually become, a popular person or whatever, that's something on the side. So it doesn't really matter which one comes first. I think just as long as you have that passion, because it's passion that like pushes, us to get towards our goals. And also I found, so for me, like my passion throughout my PhD, because I got my PhD done really quick. It took me like 3 years and some months, and it could have even been less than that if I didn't have some opposition. So, but what was pushing me wasn't because I was like, oh yeah, I want to have my PhD, and I didn't care about the PhD because I came to Canada as an international student and I couldn't work full time. So even though I had job offers, like I couldn't take them because I was an international student and I could only work part time. So what drove me through my PhD was I need to get this thing done so I can get a full time job. So most people will tell you that's terrible, and they're probably right because I didn't get to enjoy my PhD experience, but I didn't really care. I was just like, yeah, my goal is to get my work permit and start working, and it worked out for me kind of in a perverse kind of way. So anyway, and then in talking about like passion, people's successes can encourage you. So I gave the example here of a friend. So when I came to Canada, I was like, okay, so I had a limited view of things. Like I only ever worked on campus, and I didn't know what was out there in terms of career. I didn't really know much. All I ever knew was being a TA and being an RA, like a teaching assistant or a research assistant on campus. I didn't know how to even go about getting a proper job off campus. And so I was in Canada. I think I've been here for like 3 years, and then a friend moved from Nigeria. This person was like a fantastic, like high flying career guy. He worked for CBN, he worked for Interbank. So he came with that mindset of I'm not coming to Canada, I'm coming to suffer. I'm coming for a job that's just as fresh as the one that I had in Nigeria. And so I was, to be honest, I was like a naysayer, when he came and I was like, oh yeah, tell me how. I was like, you can't get a job off campus as a student and everything. But he was like, no, I'm gonna do it. And he went out and he got he got an internship, and I was amazed. And even, that's why it's good to have good friends. Managed to land me an internship. And from there, that's how, I started off in government. So if I didn't, and over time, even after, getting in government and everything, just seeing him and seeing the things that he's doing in career and other people to kind of motivates me, and even the new job that I just landed, because I just recently moved from government and now I work at the university, and not in a million years could I have thought like I would get the job that I have now. And but like when you're just seeing people that are doing well, it sort of expands your mindset and you're like, gosh, even though I feel like I can't do this, but seeing that other people are doing it, you see that it's possible. So that can also, I guess, help stir up your passion. And then the third thing is your skills and your talents. I feel like this is also important into making you something, like making yourself into someone that everyone's proud of. So your passion, we shouldn't just use our passions for things that don't matter, but you have to actually be specific when you're being passionate, and it should be tied to something that you excel at. So I know like this word talent, oh my God, I hated it so much because it's something that they used to tell us about growing up. They were like, talent. I was like, I don't have any talent. What are you talking about? But I feel like it may be cliche, but everybody has something that they're good at. Like you just have to dig deep and, maybe do some research, talk to people, and you'll find something. For me, the way I found I was, because I never knew I was a good writer, the way I found that out was I used to read a lot growing up. And then, so I read a lot of fictions. I didn't have a lot of friends. All I read was novels. And so I didn't know that as I was reading, it was getting into my head and I was becoming a good writer. I literally was just reading for fun. Maybe if we had social media in my time, I wouldn't have been a reader, but that was all we had then. So I would read novels and all of that. And then it was making me a good writer. And I think when I was done with my NYSC in Nigeria, I was about 19, and I was just like, during the NYSC, I was bored because it was just, I was working in an office. And so, but I didn't have much to do. So what I did was I started writing, I opened a blog and I started writing short stories. And I was just doing, I mean, I didn't expect to be famous or anything, be a famous, but I just wanted something to do. So I was just writing short stories and putting it up on the blog. And I learned a lot because that was how I learned that, oh yeah, when you're writing something, you have to read it over a million times. And it was all just self-taught. And then when I started posting my stories on the blog, even though it wasn't very popular, but a few people would reach out, like, oh my goodness, your stories are amazing, everything and like that. And that was, that's how I started learning that, oh, I actually am an okay writer. And so I feel like it's not something, and I didn't know that till I was probably like maybe 19 or 20. So it's like, it's not something that you have to have figured out right now, but through exploration, but I think I read somewhere where someone was like, whatever you do that people appreciate, like, so just think back to something that maybe people always say, oh yeah, you're so good at this thing or you're so good at that. And then that's probably the thing that you need to channel your passions to. And then basically, practice until you become exceptional because yeah, at the end of the day, there are so many other people out there who probably can't do what you're doing, but I think the key is to make sure that you're really good at it. And I also added in here, be a little realistic and ensure that this path is feasible. But I would say that's probably the pessimistic part of me. Like, it doesn't always have to be, realistic. Because I remember when I was young, I always wanted to be like a famous writer, a famous author like J.K. Rowling, but whatever. But then as I grew up, I was like, well, people aren't really reading anymore in this generation. And maybe I need to have, like, maybe my writing skills aren't that useful. But I found that, at the end of the day, it's a transferable skill. So even if I'm not a famous author, like I have a good job as like a policy analyst in government and now in the university. So at the end of the day, whatever you're doing, if whatever your skill is, if it's not, in something that's necessarily transferable, you never know, where you might be able to use it. So I don't think any skill or any talent is useless, I guess is the point I was trying to make. And then the fourth thing that I've learned in my short journey is endurance in hard times. I feel like, I don't know why, but I feel like last year is really when I learned that things don't always work out and challenges will come for some reason. Maybe because I've been so like cuddled all my life and I don't really know what's going on out there. It was like a rude awakening for me that, things don't always work out. But, just remain diligent and, success will come when you least expect it. And also, have something that keeps you going in hard times. I'm just going to give an example sort of the rough patches that I faced and how, God helped me through. Because for me, God is like who keeps me grounded and who keeps me going. So for my thesis, like I was saying, I finished writing my thesis like before the 3 year mark. I was like, okay, I'm going to break records. I'm going to be done with my thesis in like 3 years and defend and everything. But it didn't work out because I had haters on my committee, and there was this particular woman, and she just wanted to waste my time, and it was so frustrating, it was so annoying. But in that time, that was when I really learned to trust God. And that was when, so funny enough, I don't like, I read my Bible a lot, like, I guess because of my temperament, I love to read the Bible. But for some reason, like, I never read the Psalms. I'm like, what's in Psalms? I don't like Psalms. They're like poem or something. But it was then that I, learned to love the Psalms because the Psalms are so related when you're going through hard times because you see them, they'll go to God, they'll talk to Him, they'll let Him know how they're feeling. Like, God, I feel like, things aren't working out and everything. And boy, I just learned to love the Psalms through that. So I feel like, God used the hard times I was going through, He used it to draw me closer to Him and to draw me closer to His Word. And I just feel like these days I see the hard times as sort of a way to actually connect better with God. Because it's like when things are hard, it's just like the word is just entering easily. It's probably like morbid or perverse, but that's how I feel. So anyway, so I was on my thesis, and then job search was sort of another time that was kind of hard for me because they'd been my job in government. They'd been promising me like a full-time position since 2019, and then I'm like, okay, yeah, and then I'm finishing now, and they're like, yeah, actually, something, 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 something. We don't have a position for you anymore, and I was just like, God. what am I getting? And I literally told everybody already that, oh yeah, it's a walkover. I'm gonna get a full-time job in my current office. And then they were like, nope. So, I started the job search thing, and then I was applying, and and for a while it was like nobody was calling me back. And I was just applying inside of government and I wasn't hearing anything back. And then but looking back, I realized that it was God that just ordered everything. Because if they'd called me back immediately, because they did end up calling me back much later. All the jobs I applied to, they called me back much later. But I think God just wanted me to apply to one job, which is the job I have now at the university. If they'd all called me back or if they'd retained me, I wouldn't apply to this job because I would never imagine I get it. So I just see like hard times, they were a way for me to learn to trust God. And they were also a way for him to even work out something better for me. So I feel like hard times, definitely they're gonna come. They would always come because that's just the life of man. That's, this falling world that we live in. But I think we should just see them more as a way to trust God. And then my last point is focus. So basically, if we're talking about in terms of career, in terms of education, have simple, flexible, and clear goals. Flexible, emphasis on flexible, because they don't always work out. Like where I am now, I never even knew anything about the field I'm in now 2 years ago. So when doors start to open, just we should like be flexible, be willing to, go in a new direction if that's where opportunities were opening up. I remember when I started when I was job searching and I wasn't hearing anything in policy. I was thinking maybe it's time to pivot into data analysis, and I was ready to do it. And then, but at the end of the day, all my jobs worked out. So we should just like be flexible, like don't like I guess be cast in stone, and then be alert for opportunities. Again, this job I got, I probably wouldn't have applied to it if someone didn't tell me about it. So I think we should just be alert, be a go-getter, and be careful with people who don't share your vision or perspectives. I think it was Ms. Solari that said a couple things about that. Like she talked a lot about how people can, and I think that's so important for me. Like the people are really important on this journey, because I just think about the little ways that people have impacted me. Maybe it's just telling me, oh, apply to this job. Maybe it's just putting a good word for me with their manager, little things like that. And they've had such a significant impact. So definitely we shouldn't minimize the impact people have on our careers. And we should try not to be around pessimistic people and naysayers, which I can be sometimes, but I'm trying, to be more supportive of people and their dreams. And then, of course, I think a big thing for us in this generation is distractors. So we have social media, we have movies. Like I was saying, I don't know, how it would have been if I had social media in like when I was like in high school, junior high, all of them. Maybe I wouldn't have been a reader that I was, and maybe I wouldn't have picked up the writing skills that I did, and God knows how my life would have been changed. So I think we have to be really careful with our consumption of these things. Like putting, for example, I have a thing that like um I don't open Twitter, Instagram, or like until after 12 p.m. At least I've been productive, like up until the afternoon, and then maybe at noon I can just check or something. But just trying to minimize the way you interact with those things, because like somebody was saying, they can really suck you in. And I think lastly, just know your weaknesses. Like know, where things can come and get you. Like I was saying earlier, for me, I was good on my career side. Like I didn't need anybody to like be pushing me or to be better at school or to be better at work. I was, self-motivated for that. But then I knew that in other aspects, like maybe spiritually, I feel like that's where attacks tend to come for me more. And so I'm just trying to, put up more defenses on that area of my life and make sure that, I'm ready for whatever may come and I'm focused on my spiritual life. So I think it's good to do some self-evaluation and make sure you know like sort of the weak points to ensure that you're prepared for attacks when they may come, things that might want to take you away from focusing on that area, and you're, ready to, go against them. And so I think that's basically it for me. So just a recap of everything I said. five things that I think that they're crucial to, becoming someone that makes everyone proud. Basically, have a desire from inside of you, not from anyone else, a personal desire to succeed, accompany that with passion, and focus this passion on, skills, basically things that you're good at, and, endure through hard times and try and focus on, your objectives and your dreams. That's it for me. Thank you. Telling me to dance, taking a chance.